Alright, so we can start our today's class, and again, let me welcome you again to this class. And just for the sake of remembering what we've covered already in React, for those who have not been there, or for those who have been missing some lessons in between, we had introduced React. Okay, so we had this module 3 on React, and we had done introduction to React, and we defined what React is and what is it used for. And then we created a simple React app, and I had given an assignment to also go and create a simple React app and make sure that it runs. And then we explained the steps that are taken, what happens when you run the React app, what happens behind the scenes. And we explained this diagram, the steps, or right from when you start npm start, what happens until you're able to view your app in the browser. Then we moved on to lesson 4 on React, where we covered React JSX, and we said JSX is JavaScript XML, and it's a way of mixing together React. It is a way of mixing together HTML and JavaScript code in one file. And that style of writing is what is React itself. So we looked at that, and then we looked at the concept of React components, and we defined what is a component, what is it used for, and how can we declare function components. All right. And we say that a component is a function, a React function that you can write to represent a page or a section within a page. And everything in React is about components. It's about components. Then we looked at the concept of React properties, and we said that sometimes you might have components which will take in some properties, and therefore how do we pass an argument or properties into a React component. Then we also looked at the concept of destructuring, that's assigning the values in properties to some variables like this way here. Then we looked at how we can add CSS styling to a React component, and we said there are two ways in which you can add CSS to your React component. One is using the inline styling, and the other one is using the separate CSS file, which we refer to it as CSS style sheet. Alright, and so we looked at that. Then we looked at the concept of React router, and we said the router is what gives us the capability to be able to navigate between different views or different pages. Alright, so that you are able to click between one page and another. You click on this link and you jump from one page to another. This is used in place instead of the A tag, which is used in HTML. And we looked at the steps of how to set up the React router in your React application. Alright, so these are the basically the steps. In case you forget, you just follow these steps, and then you're able to set it up. And so today what I want us to look at is the concept of React list manipulation, and how do we work with the lists. And allow me to open the Visual Studio so that we can open our previous project and be able to do the practicals. Guys, in case of any network failures or I'm not audible, you just text me or you can even give me a call. Yes, Samuel, you raised your hand. Samuel, do you have a question to ask or you raised your hand by mistake?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Before we proceed on that, let's go back to the router on those how to link those things. There's some problem in linking those pages.
Okay.
Mm.
React router. All right. So let me repeat the concept of React router, and I'll want to do that with our previous project. So let me open it here. I'm going to open recent projects. I think we had created in React. Oh yeah. Let me open this. All right. So this is our previous project, and let me close some files here, which all right, and let me run this project so that we see the layout, what we mean by routing and linking those pages. So let me change directory cd to my project folder. So my project is in block app. Then now let me type npm start to run the app. So it is starting the development server, and here it launches. It has some error. Let me admit this person. Yeah, Ochari, welcome to the meeting. So let me see where the error is. It is saying the error is in the app.js. So let me open app.js and make sure it runs. In the app.js, it says the error is on line 24. One import is in body of module render 24. Okay, this one. Let me remove this, and even this one. Save. Yeah, now it runs. And so the concept basically of React router is to provide us with the capability to be able to navigate. The keyword is navigate, to navigate between different pages, so that when I click on this, I am able to navigate to contact page. When you look at the URL here, it changes to contact, and now I have the contact page content displayed here. The same thing when I click on about, the URL changes to about, now that we are in about page and we are here in this about content. The same thing clicking on support, and we have this page on support. So to be able to click on these links and navigate from one page to another, or let me say rather navigate from one component to another, because a component is basically a page or a section of a page. So here we are navigating from one component to another. So how do we deal with that? So the library we use is the React router. Okay, and to be able to set up the React router, the first thing now will be to to install this library. So you make sure you add this library in your project. So you type the command on your terminal, npm install react router DOM. So you come to your terminal here. Of course, you know how to open the terminal here. Then you open a new terminal like this, and then you make sure that you are in your project folder. So first of all, you change your directory to make sure that just you are in your project folder. So once you are in a project folder like this, then now you can type the command npm install react hyphen react router hyphen DOM. Is that correct? So I think, yeah, npm install react router DOM. So once you install that, once you type that command, you just press enter, and it is going to install, to download that library and install it. And why is it downloading it from? It is downloading it from the React repository. So React, the team which created this framework called React, they have uploaded all those libraries into a common repository, and you can download them, install them, and use them. So once the installation is done, then you are going to see that the React router has been installed, has been added under this dependency list. So, and the dependency, you're going to see that you now have this dependency called React router DOM, and the version of it here, it means you have already installed it. So after you've installed it, the next step is now to create the multiple components, or the multiple views, which will represent, of course, the multiple pages. Okay, so you create components depending on the number of pages you want to have. For our case here, we are having three pages: the contact, the about page, and the support page. So you create the components to represent those views. So how do we create a component? That's why you come here in our code. This is our code here. Archana, leave this one here. So this is our code here. So you come in our code, and you within this src folder, you right click, okay, and create new file, and you call it about page. So this is the file we are calling about page.js. So this is the component. This one now, about page.js, is already a component, and within this file you create a component. So within this file you create a component called about. So we have a function component with the name about, and then it returns this HTML layout. So this is the HTML content that we are displaying on about, and then you make sure at the end of it you export that about page. The same thing, you create another page to represent the contact us page. So the contact page is this. You create a file called contact page, and then within that file you create a component. How do we create a component? Using the function name, curly brackets, and then we have the return, which will return the HTML. This is just now like normal HTML. and then you make sure that at the end of the day all these HTML elements have been wrapped within one div element, the outermost element. Okay, so at the end of the day this return will have to return only one def element. Then the next, you create also the third file, the third component, which is the support. So you create another file called support page.js, and within that file again you add another component called support, and this is the content, the HTML layout of that content. So you can see it only has one simple header and a paragraph. And then you make sure you also export it just like any other component. You make sure your components are all exported. After you've created the number of components you want to have in your page or in your app, the next step now is to uh, import. You import those components in the main app component. Okay, so you come in your main app, the main app.js. So we have this component here called, what is it, right here, app.js. So in this app.js you make sure you import all these three components that you have created. Alright, so we import the conduct, we import the about, we import the support, and you can only be able to import them if you have exported them here. Alright, so after you imported them, the next thing, you make sure that you import, you import the browser router, and you also import the route, and you also import the routes. These three dependencies are coming from the React Router DOM that we have installed. So you import these three. Okay, so this one, you see this statement on line 7, it is the same as having it another one here, like you're saying import in bracket route from React Router, and then as again import routes from React Router. So we could then delete this. So it is the same as writing three import statements, but instead of writing the three import statements, we could just import all these three dependencies on one line to avoid writing so much boilerplate code. Okay, so that's why we choose to put it on one line like this. So you can now delete this. It's the same thing. So after you've imported that three dependencies, the next step is the next step is that you make sure that you wrap your app component with the browser route tag. So within this app component, inside the return, whatever you are returning here, you make sure that you have wrapped it with this browser route. So everything, you can see everything is within the browser router. Then inside the browser router, you're going to add the routes. So you're going to say that this routes helps you to configure the routes. And what is a route basically? A route is like, if you come in your app here, you see when you click on conduct up here, when you look at the URL here, it changes to localhost 300/conduct. When you click on about, it becomes localhost 300/about. So this thing here, slash whatever slash, is what you're calling it the route, or you could call it the path. Alright, so we are configuring that so that when the path changes to /about, which component should we display in here? And if the path changes to support /support, which component should we display here in the main body? Alright, so that's basically what it means. So you configure these routes. And how do we configure the routes? you wrap it within the routes tag, and then inside the route tag you add the route for each of the navigation. So we have the route slash about. If the route is slash about, which component should we display? So we are saying which element are we displaying? We are displaying the about. And where is this about coming? It is coming from this, the one that we've imported here. So it will know that, okay, when the path changes to slash about, I should display this component called about. And where is this component? This component is in this file, about page.js. So it will come to this about page and load whatever HTML that is returned here. And then this content is going to be displayed in this body here. Alright, so you continue configuring the other path. So you also configure the path for the conduct. If the path is slash conduct, display the conduct component. If the path is equal to slash support, display the support component. So once the paths are done, next you go to your navigation. So what is giving us this header, these links? Where are these links? These links, we have added them in a component called navigation bar. Was that right? So in our app here, we have this navigation bar. We have this file called navigation.js. This is where we have added our links. In fact, let me delete this. So in this component called navbar, you can see it's a function component, and it returns this header. This is what is giving us this header here. This header here that has a background of blue and this text. So here is where we add the links. So when we add the links, we also add the path. So here we have a list of 3 links, and we have centered them at the center. And so how do we add links? So instead of using the a tag, you see a tag is normally used in HTML to add a link. So instead of using this a tag, React provides us with an alternative to that. It provides us with this tag called the link. Capital, it must start with capital letter, otherwise if you start with a small letter like this, it will give you an error. So it has to be a capital letter. So this tag is what will add these links here, and it makes this thing to behave as if it's a link, so that when you put your mouse over it, the mouse changes into a hand shape, showing that these are link that you can click. All right, so it is this thing that is giving us that feature. So we add this link, and then instead of using the href that we normally use in HTML, so we are using the to. So when we say that when the path is to slash conduct, and then here the path is slash about, the path is slash support. So what we are saying is that when the user clicks on this link, make the path slash conduct, and therefore when the path is slash conduct, this app.js will know which component to display. So you configure that, and then after that, I think that's the last step, configuring the routes and the paths. So after you have configured the routes and the paths, then you just run the app, and you should be able to navigate between one page and the other. Unless you still have a question or clarification, you can ask. Samuel, is everything okay? And even the rest? Hello. Hello, Samuel.
Yes.
Is that okay, or you still have something you'll want to ask?
It is okay.
Yeah, so in case of any challenge, just reach out, even one on one, we can have it sorted. Alright, any other query before we go to the next lesson of today? Alright, if there's no question, then let me pause this clip about React router, and then we record another one from the next topic.